we go. Hi, guys, and welcome to Keep Hope Alive podcast. We have a great, amazing show for you today. I have Dr. Mark McNear here with us, and he's a psychotherapist. He's going to be talking about his journey of how he got started. But really quick, doctor, I have a question for you.
Sure, absolutely.
How many weddings have you been to in the past 20 years?
Okay, 20 years. I would say at least 15, maybe more.
15.
Yeah, maybe more. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So if you were like a guest going to the wedding and say you're walking into a church, usually there's something there for the guests to sign. What is that one thing they have to sign?
The guest book.
Yes, good. One of our biggest sponsors here is lifeonrecord.com. And what they do, instead of having a guest book, they have a vintage rotary phone that your guests can walk up to, pick up, and say, "Congratulations on your wedding, many years of happiness." Or maybe it's a bridesmaid this time. I keep using groomsmen and all my other. "Oh, we're so happy for you, honey. I'm so glad he finally proposed." They can leave
Yeah.
any kind of message they want for you. And right next to that telephone, they have a QR scanned code for your guests. If they wanted to use their own mobile device, scan that to leave a message before or after they could. So once they collect all these messages from everybody, you will have a choice to have them burned on a 12-inch vinyl record or a keepsake speaker box, and called the
Hmm.
little boom box. So I call it the gift of voice. It's really cool to hear this. And I know we're talking about weddings, but really you can use this for any kind of event. It serves the same purpose, and people are getting to hear you congratulate them or give advice, whatever it may be. Now, their plans start at $99. You get the phone number. I wish we could keep the phone, but you got to return the phone. But the phone number for 1 year, and it works
Hmm.
for all around the world. So, like, even if it was a wedding, I tell people maybe 2 or 3 months before your 1 year anniversary, have them call back and leave another message. Happy
Hmm.
anniversary, it's coming up. So you get those collected as well. But to find more information on them, go to www.lifeonrecord.com. All right, so let's get started. So, Mark, I want to know a lot about who you are. And I know
Sure.
you have a book also. So I'm going to bring the two in right now and tell us who
Yeah.
Mark
You,
is.
you had mentioned I'm a psychotherapist and I work in New Jersey. I work about an hour from Manhattan and I'm in private practice. What happened originally, and I had gone to Bible college and was in Bible college and was kind of searching, what ministry I wanted to go into, and then decided or felt like I was being called into counseling. And I had done a lot of my own counseling at that time as well. So I went on to New York University, and then I went on from there to get a second master's and my doctorate. But the book, as you mentioned, was something that the story began about 9 years ago. In some ways, I had been on medication and had gotten addicted to medications, and so I had called my doctor for more refills, and she had said, "No, you need to go to rehab." And that was not something that I wanted to do. That was like
Yeah.
getting in the way of my plans. But it was probably one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. It was painful, but it was really good. As I got into rehab and the medications came out of my system, a lot of the memories from my childhood came back, and I was diagnosed with complex trauma. And so
Gotcha.
the title of the book, Finding My Words, was something that I decided the book should be called because I wanted to convey the fact that I didn't have the words to be able to talk about the things that had happened to me. A lot of traumatic things happened to me in childhood. I had when I was 4 years old, my dad actually got really angry at me for not eating food, and then threw me in the garbage for that. And so, yeah, some really rough things. And I was sexually abused by my dad from the age of 4 to 7, and we had armed robbery in our home. My mom became an alcoholic. My dad became really paranoid. So it sounds terrible, and it was, but the idea of the book is that, with the help of God and with the help of others, I was able to progress. I was able to get the treatment that I needed and to be able to kind of sort out, because people were saying to me, like even in rehab, what happened to you? And I was like, I didn't have the words to be able to share it. But little by little, as I talked with different people after rehab and got into different counseling and things like that, I was able to share more of what happened to me. So the first part of the book is finding my words. The second part of the book is speaking my words. And then the third part of the book is embracing my words. You
Oh,
know,
cool.
yeah. And so it really relates, I think, to a lot of people, and just the issues that they've had in their life, the struggles that they have had in their life. And so I wanted to write a book from the position of being a professional, that doesn't have it all together, certainly does not have it all together, and found myself, in so many ways at rock bottom, but then with the help of God and with the help of others, was able to climb out of that. And it took a long time, it took
Yeah.
years to be able to do it. Going into my 10th year now and doing really well, but I had to really, really go through a lot of counseling and a lot of help I received from professionals. And so I wanted to write the book as a way to say, like, what, you might be really, really struggling right now, but you can work through it. It takes
Yeah.
time, it takes effort, but that you can work through these things. I think that, a lot of times people look at addiction as something that, just happens. It's, just haphazard. But really what happens is people have had harm in their life. And as a result
Yeah.
of that, find ways, often maladaptive ways, to cope with the harm that they have been faced with. I love Dr. Gabor Mate talks about the fact, don't ask why the addiction, ask why the pain.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So, yeah, and coping with it makes it hard. I am glad, however, they did say, when you asked for that refill to kind of stop, right
Mm-hmm.
now, just looking at the way the world works, it's like, oh, you got a pain here, let's throw this drug at you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I become an advocate for myself when, especially I go to the doctors, I told one of my doctors, I said, I have this going on. Well, let's try this medication. I go, can you tell me what vitamin does the same thing as this
Mm-hmm.
magical pill you want to give me? And
Mm-hmm.
he named the vitamin. I go, that wasn't
Yeah.
too hard, was it?
Mm-hmm.
I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm so tired of being a guinea pig to try all these medications, and it just screws up your body. So, finding a way to get off the medications to help cope, that's always
Yeah.
a good thing
Yeah.
too. But sometimes you need them. It's the only thing that can help you get through, and especially
Right.
pain. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter if it's physical or emotional, it's both. You go
Yeah,
through it.
I think that, we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Some medications are really helpful and really necessary, but definitely things are overprescribed, and so we have to have a balance with that. And
Oh, yeah, I
I
forgot I was
definitely
talking to a doctor. Sorry.
no, that's fine. I think we have to have this balance. I work with a lot of clients. I don't prescribe myself, but I work with
Yeah.
a lot of doctors that do, and sometimes the medication is needed for the situation, but sometimes it's not, and sometimes there needs to be lifestyle changes that take place for the person.
Yes, yes, definitely. I mean, get to know your patient is something that I would put in quotes. Get to
Mhm.
know what medications they've been on before,
Sure,
also,
sure.
what has worked for them, what has not worked for them,
Hmm.
to see if it balances them out and everything. So now I want to back up because you said you went to like Bible school and stuff.
Yeah, I went to Bible college, and I originally felt called to be a pastor. And then in my fourth year, I was struggling, Nadine, a lot with anxiety and depression. And looking back, it makes a lot of sense that I was, because of the trauma that I experienced in my childhood. But I went to a therapist, and it was really, really helpful to me, a talking therapist. And she was really helpful. I did individual counseling with her. We also did premarital counseling. My wife and I did premarital counseling with her, and it was
Okay.
really a good start. I should have continued. She had moved away, so she wasn't available. I should have, looking back, hindsight's 2020. I should have kept in counseling, but don't know if I would have been willing to talk about a lot of the things that, I found myself needing to talk about after rehab. It's
Yeah,
hard to talk about the things that,
it is.
people go through. So Bible college was really good for me, and then I got accepted to NYU, as I said, and went for my master's in social work, and then went for further training after that. And I'm really excited now because now, being on the other side of the issue of addiction, I can help other people who come in. So I work with a lot of people that have had trauma or have had addictions, have
Yeah.
been sexually abused or abused in other ways, have had certain traumas in their lives. So it's a story that I wanted to put out there. It's not an easy story to read.
Yeah.
It's easy because the book is kind of like I'm talking to you, but it's hard
Good.
because of the content of the book.
I get it. I understand
Mhm.
that. And to be somebody who has gone through these traumas, it takes someone like yourself to come out there and talk about it and be strong. And, you're helping people get through this trauma because you're being empathic and understanding of what they also have
Yeah.
gone through. So,
Hmm.
an open ear and the right to be heard is
Yeah.
important in today's world.
Yeah. I
So
think
that's what
that
you're giving.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think helping people to be able to process their traumas, you know,
Yeah.
um, it's not something that you process when you're going through it. The brain doesn't process it. And so there's different ways that we work with people to help them to be able to process it in a safe way so that there's not, the issues of self-harm or spring up of addiction or things like that. We take it slow and we work
Hmm.
with people in a methodical way, to help them to work through the things that have happened in their lives.
Yes, agreed. So the term bottled up, that's
Mhm.
always a hard one because when you're a younger child, you'll bottle things up and throw it behind you, don't want to talk about it, but then years later it comes out. And, especially for the victim, if the parents had no idea, like, of what
Mhm.
was going on with the child, that hurt is new for them, and they
Yeah.
have to go through the process too. So
Right.
it's hard in every way. And then I think it comes down to a question, did you get justice from it? Is there a closing piece to this,
I,
that's
I
helped
think
you
that
kind of heal, or maybe not?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. Let me go back for a minute and say that I have a friend. His name is Eric Schumacher. He had shared with me on a podcast a while back the idea that we leave our childhoods, but our childhoods don't leave us.
Yes.
And the things that happened to us in our childhood, we carry them with us. No matter how many degrees we get, or no matter how the career or we get married, we still carry that pain with us. So that has to be worked through. The issue of justice, I think that for me, getting to a place of forgiveness for people has been really important to me in my faith. And the forgiveness is for me really, they say that, being angry at somebody or resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to be harmed. And all resentment does is it many times spurs on addictions and things like that, or also
Yeah.
makes you miserable. So I've had to work through it, and there's some days they're not as easy as others, but as far as being able to move through the process and to offer forgiveness to my parents or to others, I think it's been really crucial for me in the
Yeah.
process. I don't know, we live in such a broken world. I'm not so sure we see justice here, because things are unfair in this world. But I think that I don't need to hold that resentment and all of that in, but it needs to be processed, and it needs to be properly processed. And I'm still in counseling now, and I'm you know want to be somebody that says, like, yeah, you should get into counseling when you need help, or coaching, or
Yeah.
join a support group or something like that. And I think it'd be hypocritical for me to
Yes.
be advocating it for other people and not to be taking advantage of it myself.
Taking advantage of it. Yes. I
Mhm.
know I helped people. Well, it's something I really don't talk about it that much. But narcissism, going through abusive relationships. back before meetup.com started having organizers. I used to, right in the beginning, I ran the DFW event planning meetup one. Well, this last year, I decided to do one to help people who were going through abusive relationships get to
Okay.
safety.
Hmm.
And it was going really well, but I guess I accidentally hit a button to make it an online event.
Okay.
But I did all mine at a restaurant. So I was like, I'm so sorry. She goes, can't you do a podcast? I'll never forget these words. I wish I could find her. And I was like, no, I'm not doing a podcast. I'm so sorry. But I just want to hear you speak. And I was like, okay, but she also got me to open my eyes, and there is a much need. So season one was all audio, but it was in coaching for how to get out of abusive relationships. And I feel like that is something, of course, growing up, I believe in love and marriage. So I'm a certified wedding planner.
Hmm.
But the world has been broken. Yeah, the forces are much higher than marriages.
Hmm.
So it's sad, but when it comes to terms of people being hurt or abused, that is a huge topic in today's society
Yeah,
of
and I
how,
would, yeah, I would, Nadine, I would add to that, one of the tasks of someone who's had a lot of trauma is for them to start learning to treat themselves more kindly,
yes.
and to talk to themselves and not to abuse themselves, because so many times the inner voice of people who have abused us become our inner voice or our inner critic. So that's one of
Yeah,
the things I've had to work on in my own life, and also help other people, to realize that kindness is really
hmm,
important for change.
it is. And you got to be able to know yourself. And I've told everybody, journal, journal, journal. I
Yeah.
mean, I've been in their situation also, and I
Mhm.
journaled every day, but I remember I wanted to read what I wrote, and I was crying like it was some movie that I was watching.
Yeah,
And
one of the counselors that I had when I first met with him, he said, we're going to take this really slow, but what I'd like you to do is I would like you to write down all of the traumas, journal. And so that's such a good point. It's one of the
yeah,
tools that I use for people, is for them to write their history and then to diagram it in different ways, or to draw it in different ways, or do things like that. But the process, like I said, it has to have kindness and mercy and grace and things like that, because it's so easy to be hard on yourself when you've grown
it
up and you've lived.
is. It is. I don't know that everybody writes the same. I notice a pattern with me when I write, even though it's a negative, I try to follow it with a positive. What did I learn
Mhm.
from this?
Yeah, yeah.
How can I make things better so this does not happen again? So, and it takes years and years. I mean, I may still have many years of going through this,
Hmm. Hmm.
it's just something that doesn't go away quickly. And, last year I found out more about me, setting my boundaries. Do I want to try dating again in my 40s? Is this going to be
Hmm.
hard?
Yeah, yeah.
But you got to stick with it. And if you have your vision, I call it a vision board. Have one of those too every year.
Hmm.
Like when New
Hmm.
Year's hits, say,
Yeah.
this is what I hope I can do for 2024. So, and just kind of go with those guidelines. But as far as bringing, awareness to what you've been through and finding yourself will help
Hmm.
heal you too. The real
Hmm.
you. Who are
Hmm.
you? And if you can
Yeah.
take a
I
noise
yeah,
that
and
distracts us,
yeah,
it
I
helps.
think when you say that, I think about, one of the things that I do a lot and I've done a lot is a lot of story work, learning my story,
Yeah,
getting to know, the harm in my story, to realize, why I think and feel and act the way I do. And so I would really encourage listeners out there, to look into story work. Story work can be so powerful if it's done right, and I've
exactly.
done a lot of that with intensives and things like that. And it's been really helpful for me to realize where I've come from and then where I'm going. And a lot of times, you can't figure out where you're going unless you look at where you've come from. because so much
Yeah,
of what they say the past is the past. Well, there's no such thing as the past because we replay the
yeah.
past every day if we don't learn from it.
You see, and I did a podcast show on here.
Yeah.
What was I made for? What is my purpose? And I love that one because really we are sent here. Everybody does have a purpose. I don't know what age you'll find it. I found my purpose is helping people through podcasts. I love it. I love my journey that I've taken and everything. But, that is something I was just on my last show talking about. You just don't know. And you live day by day, you make the best.
Yeah.
Usually we're all in a routine. We're all going to work. We have families. We're feeding our kids or loved ones. If we have pets, it's just constantly, but we got to give time to ourselves to take away and have that me time because we got to focus on that or we just become like a robot.
Yeah, I
So,
think one another thing, Nadine, that I do a lot of work with people that I see is, for them to build a toolbox, so to speak, of self-care,
yes,
things that help them. And when you talk about people who have been traumatized, they have a lot of problems with regulating their emotions. And so one of the things that I find really helpful is, different methods for people, whether it's coloring or whether it's journaling or whether it's tapping, whether it's taking a hot bath or a cold bath or, a putty, playing with putty. There's just so many things. A gratitude journal can be really, really important to just be grateful for the things that you have. So that's
yes,
part of the work that I have done, and also part of the work that I encourage other people to do.
yes, yes. I'm trying to remember when I first started, got, oh, maybe it was May of last year, somebody, oh, I forgot her name. It's going to drive me crazy. I've done so many interviews. She created a gratitude book. So
Mhm.
after her dinners, they would have to write down
Oh,
something.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
and they
Yeah.
would share it. And I was just like, that is such a great idea. Like to sit down and be open and have those conversations because, I'll be truthful with myself. Like, I think if we ever, whether it's family, friends, is there's something that bugs us in life and we decided to bottle it up and not talk about it, like why do we have this friction, let's say with the parent? You know, I think it's good to actually say it
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
hold it, is what I
Mhm.
learned this year.
Yeah.
I was able to say, hey, I feel this way because of this reason, and it
Mhm.
hurts me for this reason, but it gave clarity to the person to know what I was thinking and why I was thinking it, and it opened
Mhm.
their eyes.
Yeah.
Eh, does it stay with them that I've been through this? I don't know.
Mhm.
It's not, I can't ask it to be a big change or anything, but just having that peace of mind that I was able to talk about it and communicate it out instead of bottling it up,
Yeah.
it felt good. It felt like that weight has been lifted. So with
Mhm.
your toolbox and taking everything that you have to help your clients, that's just amazing. And if they follow that process that you give them, that's going to help too.
Yeah,
So
you really see change. Change is so
yeah.
hard for any of us, but you really see, transformation within time.
That is so good. That is so good. Now, finding where I love finding my words because you don't know how to say it, what's really going on. There's times that I believe in my motto also, like just being heard.
Mhm.
So my friend who just passed away a year and a half ago is very surprisingly sudden. But we would talk almost every day, and we always talked about wanting to be heard. And I'm sorry, I'll say sorry now. Why can't doctors hear us? So like we're telling them what's
Mhm.
wrong, what our bodies are screaming
Mhm.
out. We just want to be heard. But we would
Yeah.
talk about relationships. We would talk about bad drivers. We would talk
Mhm.
about being a mother and raising kids.
Yeah.
It was just everything. And it was a good way to say, this is what today's world is like. how
Mm.
do we take these things that are troubling and process them and make them better instead of
Yeah,
sitting here having
yeah.
conversations about it, you know?
And I think having, for me, it's my church, but for people to have a safe community of individuals that they can talk to, really, really
Yes.
powerful for transformation. People that can hold your story, that can listen to your harm, can listen to what you've been through, listen to the crazies, if you will, that we have, the things that, we feel so isolated at times. So just having somebody else to be able to say something like, that makes sense to me. I know where you're coming from, or for them to say, what, I haven't been through that, but it must have been really hard for you, can be
Yeah.
so powerful and so healing, to hear that empathy, to hear that compassion, to hear the receptiveness of another person.
Exactly. Agreed 100%. So I lost both of my friends. So I'm like, oh, I'm back on the drawing board. I have no one to really talk
Yeah, that's hard.
to.
Yeah.
It is. So it's just like, but I'm trying to go out there like my past to get rid of my, anxiety and stuff. I love singing, so I will do karaoke.
Mm,
So if I get up there and sing, it's like the huge weight came off
yeah. And that
again.
and
And
that might be part of your toolbox.
yes,
Everybody needs a
yes.
toolbox of things that help them to regulate emotionally.
Exactly, exactly. And I kind of laugh because I know my boyfriend's his way of doing things. He plays the piano. He's really, really
Hmm.
good. But he will
Hmm.
just, I was like, you can play as much as you want because you're really good. And I can
Hmm.
actually rest, decompress. My
Yeah.
stress goes away when I listen to him play.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a good, it's a catch 22 there. So, but definitely. So, like in the future, I mean, well, do you even have a podcast yet?
I have one podcast. It's with all my mind, and it's a church podcast that
Uh-huh.
I can send you the link to, and you can put it in the notes for people. That's
Yeah.
something that I've been doing with Pastor Kirk Ruprecht, and also with a friend of mine who does a lot of work with children. His name is Walter F. Rodriguez, and so that's been something that we've started. That's been a lot of fun.
That is so amazing. I'm
Yeah.
glad something was making me ask you because, you're helping so many people. I was like, okay, we know he has the book. He needs to have a
Podcast
podcast.
now. I've done a lot of podcasts. If people are interested, they can look at Dr. Mark McNear on YouTube, and a lot of them
Okay.
come up there, or they can just Google it to hear more of my story.
Oh my goodness, that's amazing. Well, here, really quick, I got another question off topic before we
Sure.
continue. Have you ever seen these bracelets before?
I have. They're all over social media. I have seen them. Yeah.
Yes, and they're called snap bands. So really quick, I'm going to tell the world about snap bands, but you'll see the top one is hope, the bottom one is faith. Now, to get the mantra word faith, you have to use their promo code KHA. Keep hope alive. So that is
Oh,
the only
nice.
way you can get that word, faith. So, but definitely. So the world is a stressful place for everyone with work, school, relationships, health issues, finances, the nightly news. There's anxiety every day. Negative thoughts can keep popping into our head over and over again. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy of anyone loving me. Bad things always happen to me. If you ever have these type of thoughts, you're not alone. More than 40 million Americans are diagnosed with anxiety disorder. Anxieties, worries, and fears can stop you from finding inner peace
Mhm.
and achieving your true potential. You deserve to live your best life. Finally, there's an amazing new bracelet called Snap Bands that was invented to help you reduce anxiety, control OCD, calm stress, and I'm going to throw this one in PTSD. It does because
Mhm.
I know I have the medical portion of PTSD. So, Snap Bands are cognitive behavioral therapy tool based on proven brain neuroscience. And the way Snap Bands works is amazing. So, Snap Bands bracelets look like a stylish piece of jewelry on your wrist, but it's unique design actually hides a secret elastic band that sits right on your inner wrist, which is a pressure point to your brain's nervous system. When you give the elastic a light tug, you feel a very gentle, soft vibration on your inner wrist. A gentle physical sensation is all you need to reduce anxiety, and here's why. Did you know that the human brain can only deal with one emergency at a time? Well, whenever you feel an unwanted negative thought in your head and gently snap the elastic on your inner wrist, it forces your brain to focus on a gentle physical sensation you feel, which instantly disrupts the unwanted negative thought from your brain. This gives you the freedom to reset your mind with positive mental focus. The mantra word on your snap bands bracelet helps you refocus and reset. So there are 8, but we're going to say 7 here. So the 7 different mantra words are believe, blessing, dream, fearless, hope, love, and peace. And now faith to make it 8. Just to choose the mantra that resonates most powerfully with you. And after you snap, you want to use your mantra word. Like if it was believe, it would be I believe in myself, or hope, I will always have hope. Maybe fearless, I am fearless. I got the world today. So the best part about snap bands, I love it. When you purchase one of these, they give a portion back to like mental wellness organizations that will help. They come in all different colors. I call like the business line the black, the grays, the whites, the tans, and then the fun colors, pink, green, red, blue, yellow. So, and then with the different mantra words. So that is a great thing. They are made out of vegan leather. They are waterproof. And if you have allergies to skins, it does not bother your skin. I have had mine on for 2.5 months, and I tell you, I'm always in the hospital, but like, and I'm a hard stick for getting my IV. I'll go, please let them find a vein. I hope and I have faith for you. So I've been using mine to pray over medical stuff. So, but it definitely works. To learn more about them, you can go to www.snapbands.com, and let me spell that out for you. It is SNAPPBANDZ.com. So let's get out and snap that stigma away and help cure some anxiety and OCD and PTSD. So let's get back to it, Dr. Mark. I like Dr. Mark calling it that. So that is wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that you are doing a podcast, because the more people that are involved and can hear your story and get help,
Mhm.
especially with trauma, and you being able strong enough to share your story too.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm thinking of the word, it's a leap of faith. It
Mm.
gives people
Yeah.
hope. And to know that there are real people out there that really do care about what you're going through. I want to be able to steer and guide you in the right way. So, what advice would you tell somebody who's kind of stuck and does not know how to move on?
Yeah, I would say that the first thing I would say is just find one person to share with. Find a safe
Mhm.
person. One of the things that I did in my process is I went to 12-step groups for addiction and was able to share just a little bit, not much at all, but I shared with individuals in the group. I didn't share as when the meetings were going on, but I was able to share afterwards a little bit, and that just really helped me to feel less lonely, to feel less isolated. When I say somebody's safe, I mean somebody that's not going to criticize you or roll their eyes or reject what you're saying or give you advice. A lot of times we don't need advice. We just need to hear, that
Yes.
somebody, or we just need to experience, not hear, but we did need to experience that somebody is sitting there and can hold our story, can empathize with us, can have compassion, have grace and mercy,
Yeah.
and I'm really fortunate to have a lot of those people in my life, and that's really helped transform my life from where it was to where it is today. I think just finding one person to begin with, or taking the leap and getting into some professional help. There was in the past, and I suppose there still is at times, a stigma with that, but it's gotten so
Mm-hmm.
much less. And people really improve. They get better. They can change their life. They don't have to be in the same spot. And I'm proof of that. And that's why I wrote the book so that people could read it and have hope, and to see a person's life that was really really not, was not functioning, to a point now where I function every day and can help others with their harm that they've had in their lives.
Yeah, definitely. So that's good. That's very, very good. Now, let me ask you, as days go by and like, what does 2024 look like it's holding for you? Any new things you're going to be doing?
Well, things are really, I would say, really great with my marriage. I would say that is, my wife and I have been married, I think it's 38 years, and
Okay.
Debbie has been so helpful in my journey. I
Um,
am going to, one thing that this year holds for me, Nadine, that's really exciting, is my daughter Emily is expecting. And so she's actually flying in today from Wyoming into Newark. And so we're going to be spending some time with her, but just becoming a grandfather, I don't know what that is, but I told her I'm going to need help with that, and guidelines with that. So, but that's something that's really exciting. I've been seeing people in coaching all over the country. I have my own private practice. And so seeing people in New Jersey, but also seeing people because of specializing with trauma and addiction and abuse. So that's been really exciting. I write articles. If people want to look them up, they can just
yeah.
type in. I've had quite a few published by the Christian Post. And so if they just put in Mark McNear, Dr. Mark McNear, Christian Post, articles will pop up for them.
Yeah.
I continue to do a lot of podcasts and to talk about my story and to talk about healing and things like that. So that's, more of the same in some ways, as far as, just being able to provide encouragement for people. Uh,
Yeah, that's
and
really good.
one of the things that I'm really passionate about is the church has not always done a great job, with mental health. And so just bringing that's what our podcast is about. It's about mental health issues, that I do with Kirk and Walter. And so that has been something that's been really exciting this year. And we're planning on continuing to do, we're going into the second season soon. So we're
Good.
really looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Just being able to live a life where I have a lot of gratitude and really appreciate, the people around me, and just appreciate my relationship with God. It's been really a really powerful
Yeah.
journey, a really hard journey, really painful journey, but a worthwhile journey, definitely.
I hear you on that. Yeah. And congratulations, Grandpa. I'm
Yeah,
going to be a
thanks.
grandma. My daughter is expecting also,
Oh,
I
congratulations.
believe the end of July or first week of August. So she's having a little girl. And I go, I knew it was a girl. I had a dream of a little girl tugging on me.
Okay.
Grandma, take me here. And I was like, I want to be called Gigi, not grandma.
Yeah, we
But
haven't
yeah, they need,
decided. I haven't heard yet what Emily's having a boy. I haven't heard yet what I will be called, but I'll find out soon enough for sure.
oh,
She's
I think
doing
we need
the
to
end of,
have a say.
yeah. I'm gonna leave it to her though.
Oh, that's cute. So yeah, I know my daughter is like, I want to name her Alice. And I was like, you don't hear that name that
Yeah,
much. And of
yeah.
course, I think of Mel's Diner or something like,
Yeah,
or the
sure.
cartoon or the movie Alice in Wonderland. It's like,
Mhm,
okay, we got this, Alice. And
mhm.
I named my daughter Mallory and I call her
Oh, nice.
Mally for short. And I was
Mhm.
like, Alice will be Allie, Mally and Allie.
Yeah, that sounds good. I don't know. I haven't heard a name yet. Emily and Brandon, her husband Brandon, have not decided on a name yet, so I'm still waiting to hear that.
That's kind of, yeah, that's good. So
Yeah.
I remember when I was pregnant with my son, My mom goes, I don't want to know the sex of the baby or the name. And I go, oh, his name is going to be Liam.
Oh
And
no.
she's like, why'd you do that? I was like, did I hear you right? She goes, we have time to change his name. But it's funny. It's not up to the grandparents to tell their
No, no,
kids,
no,
hey, we have time to change the name. Nope, it's up to
no.
us.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah. So, but definitely kids are a blessing and they help us and they even help with the new chapters in our lives. We get to see things in a whole new light
Yeah,
and
yeah,
we get to build from that too. So,
absolutely. Yeah, I'm excited.
yeah. So you better be helping plan that baby shower.
Yeah, it's this weekend, and I already have plans. So yes.
You're
So
like,
yeah,
I'm out.
yeah, definitely.
That is so funny. Yeah, I'm in the midst of trying to get things together, and I'm just like, oh boy, I got to get myself a job so I can get this on the way and get it planned and,
Definitely.
all this
Yeah.
fun stuff. But definitely. So I'm trying to think. I hope we covered everything. I know your story about going through the different things with the trauma and abuse. Those are always hard topics, very hard. And my heart goes out to everybody that I've
Mhm,
actually interviewed who has been through
mhm.
this topic.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's so many different ways to go about it, but the one thing I want to say, anybody who's watching, keep hope alive. You want to keep hope alive, and
Yeah.
you might have a fear of telling somebody this is happening to you, but you need to find that one safe person
Yeah.
and let them know. You need to not bottle up this anymore, and you need to start talking about it, healing, and getting that help. So that is the best thing I can tell them. Is there like a hotline number people can call too?
If people, I believe it's 988. I think if people are feeling self-harm or anything like that, they can dial that number, and it's a national
Okay.
number that they can take advantage of. It's a suicide hotline. They can Google that also.
Okay, good, good, good. So dial 988 if whatever feelings you're having with this trauma, if it's a trauma like abuse, remember this is not your fault. You
Mhm.
you need to put a stop and an end to this. It's kind of like I want you to evil cannot win. We have the power, the energy, the love to beat this. And you got to think that way to move on. But the first step is calling 988, I would say, and go through them because they are an open ear to hear you talk and everything and get you to the right steps. So, but definitely. Well, really quick, I wanted to thank everybody else who makes keep hope afloat here. So as I mentioned before, we have lifeonrecord.com and they were your interactive guest book. So leave that message. You can get it burned on a record or the little boom box to listen back to those voices. Our other one we mentioned was Snap Vans at www.snapvans.com. These bracelets hold the power. Hold the power. I love it. To help you change your mindset, to help the anxiety, OCD, maybe PTSD also, but they come in a bunch of different colors. The mantra word faith that I have, it has a special promo code of KHA. Give that to them and they'll be able to get you that mantra word. Our next one is Ogden Ventures LLC. Marcus Ogden, he is a former NFL player. He is a best-selling author now and has his own podcast as well. He's wonderful. I'm going to spell out his name too as I give his website, but you'll go to www.marcus, which is MARQUES, Ogden, OGDEN.com. Check out his speeches, his podcast. It's powerful and uplifting. You'll love it. Next is bridalshowsinc.com. Naomi Butler has been doing this for so many years in the Texas area, but she hosts the bridal trade shows about maybe 5 or 6 out of the year. So you get to meet all these different vendors. They're showcasing their work. you decide on what you would like to have at your event, and then set up a appointment or even hire that person that you connected with at the trade show. Our next one is milesandSmilesEvents.com. Miss Deborah Rose, her background is investigator, but what she does at events is awesome. She's a handwriting analysis and lipstick reader, and she is 100% accurate. My mouth was like in awe. She came, she talked to the people I used to work with, and she was right on all of us when she did the lipstick and handwriting. But I seen her in action at her events, and she has nailed it each time. She is one to have at your event. Our next one is Bryce Harney at www.brycemagic.com. He is a magician and mind mentalist. You might have seen him on TV last year, but he's amazing. You got to see his tricks and everything. So the best thing I can tell you is go to YouTube and look at Bryce Harney to see some of his stuff, or go to his website. But he does those big corporate events, even church events. He can put in a magic show with the sermon, which is really cool. So check out his work. Our next one is richmondpunch.net. Richmond graduated from the Juilliards. He is a violinist. He's been doing this for over 30 years. He's performed in front of 1 million people before, and also he had 2 spots on Lifetime shows to play the violin in the background. So he does travel. He goes back and forth to, I guess, Atlanta a lot, to Dallas, but he can do shows all across the United States. He is going out on tour again this year. So I will have that stuff posted to our Facebook for Keep Hope Alive also. Our last one is TK Hair Salon. They are located in Plano, Texas. So you guys got to come to Texas, I'm telling you. So men, women, children who need their hair cut or styled, or gray hair, if you're older like me, to get out, or perms, they do it all. You can find them at www.tkhairsalon.com. Remember, if you have any questions for Dr. Mark or even myself, you can call 833-780-HOPE, which is 4673, and leave us a message. Any messages for Dr. Mark, I will send over to him, and we'll make sure we get those answered for you as well. So wherever you do find your podcast, you will be able to find Keep Hope Alive podcast. Visit us at www.keephopealivepodcast.com. We have all our socials on there for, like, I call it X, I guess. I don't use it as much, but whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I use Linktree, some LinkedIn, but you know what? Linktree is really fun. I got to tell you that if you're not using it, you can put your stuff right away and send it over to somebody you're just meeting right away. So I like that aspect with that app. So, but other than that, I want to thank you once again, Dr. Mark McNear, for coming
Thank you,
on.
Nadine. Appreciate being with you.
And oh, thank you. I love the name of your book. I'm going to be adding your book onto our storefront. So guys, check out the store. Go find Finding My Words, and you can purchase that today. So we'll have everything up and running. All right. Well, thank you guys. Until our next show, love and light. Thank you, Mark.